Great start.
Sorry, I didn't know you were starting. I didn't have a chance to clear my throat.
All right, Brian. After your bye week,
Yep.
apparently, no, if you can stand up and show everyone your sweatshirt after week 12. Dude, this week was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I will say, considering it was my bye week, it was probably the best week I've had this entire football season. I think it was my favorite week of the year. I'm not kidding.
I
I'm
was
not
gonna,
kidding.
I was actually gonna text you and ask you if you enjoy when your team is kind of out, or whether it's like a Thursday night game and you get kind of just enjoy Sunday, or if it's a bye week. Do you like just kind of relaxing and watching all the games, or
Yeah, so I would say I enjoy it more so than I think. It's weird. If the team's good, like in terms of bye weeks, if the Bengals are good like they have been recently, I kind of hate bye weeks because I just want to watch them play. Like I'm excited to watch them play. But when you go through a period that they've gone through with the heartbreaking losses and the shittiness of this year, I could not wait for it to be a bye week. I woke up thinking I'm not going to be pissed off tonight. I'm not going to have to sit through a heartbreaking loss. It was unbelievable. Like I was excited, and then I've been in a bad mood today because now they're back at practice, and I'm reading stuff about them. But I do love like last week, the last 2 weeks, we Bengals had Thursday night and Sunday night games, and then they were bye this week, so 3 weeks in a row of me getting to watch football, and I love it. Like it's you kind of when you're watching your favorite team on like a noon at in the 12 o'clock window on Sunday, you feel like you miss a ton because you're paying attention to your game. Yeah, you're seeing stuff on X or you're seeing highlights like throughout the game, but I typically don't change to like red zone or anything when I'm watching the Bengals just because I'm so locked in on them. So I love it. Like being able to just sit there, put the quad box on, switch to games like that I don't even care about, but I'm either watching for a bet or for like fantasy purposes, and like you don't have to worry about like feeling like shit if it doesn't go like because I get into the my team winning more so than anything else. So like that feeling is unbelievable. It can't be matched. And I had a great weekend. It was fantastic. I loved every second of it. And I like it made me so upset and like the only thing it made me sad about was shit. My team sucks, and I'm happy that I don't have to watch them play. That's the only thing that stinks. So, but I do enjoy sitting back and watching all the games. Some of the games are harder for me to watch. Like we're recording this during the Chargers Ravens game. I haven't watched a lot of the game just because it's the two teams the Bengals lost to the last 2 weeks in heartbreaking fashion. So I don't want to hear talk about it. I don't want to show them I hate when they show the division and Bengals are in third. That just drives me nuts. So, but yeah, it was a crazy week to your point. Unbelievable, like that witching hour or whatever they call it at the end of those 1 o'clock games. That was insane. That was insane.
so? There's two games that kind of come to mind this week that kind of blew my mind, but also we've kind of talked about like on our frauds episode. Number one, the I almost said the R word, the Commanders.
Yes, the Commanders. I say it all the time. Did you
Yeah,
see that thing that they're looking at? I don't know if it's true or not. It might just be one of those aggregator accounts on X. But did you see the one thing that they're talking about bringing the logo back?
yeah. I mean, it's the petition, and
Yeah,
it's
I don't
probably
know.
not going to come back. There's
No,
stuff like that all the time.
would be awesome if it did. But yes, the Commanders. They started off really hot, and this is kind of the Cliff Kingsbury special. There's been some stuff floating around about that the last couple of weeks about how his teams get off to a really hot start, whether it was college or the NFL with the Cardinals, and then they kind of take a dive. It was the whole Call of Duty thing with Kyler Murray, and a lot of people blame that on Kyler Murray, but they're saying, hey, maybe it's not actually Kyler Murray. Maybe it is Cliff Kingsbury who has and they showed all his college and pro stats before and after Call of Duty is released. Um, there were some rumblings early in the offseason that they're running a college offense. And that was kind of what was getting passed around. And it makes sense because Cliff Kingsbury is a college coach who transitioned to the pros. And you have Jane Daniels, who's kind of a dual threat. It's probably a little bit easier for him to process some of that stuff that he did in college and run some of those plays. But I do feel like teams are starting to pick up on what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. So it's not taking anyone by storm anymore like it did in the early part of the season. And to be honest, like the early part of their season, the schedule wasn't anything too crazy. They had a few tough games in there, but the last 3 games they lost to a good Philly team, a good Steelers team, and then the Cowboys. Man, they were what were they 11-point favorites? I know they were double-digit favorites, and
10.5.
that game was 10.5, and that game was absolutely wild. And yeah, I just think people are picking up on what they're doing. I think Daniels has kind of lost his hold on Rookie of the Year. I think that's kind of flipped over to Bo Nix now, which is crazy. If you would have told me by week 12 that Bo Nix would probably be a favorite for Rookie of the Year, I thought you were insane. But, they have a tough schedule coming up too. Like they have a tough rest of the season schedule. So, I think they're currently slated for a playoff spot right now. They have the 7 seed at 7-5. Very, very likely that they don't make it, I think. It's easy to say that when they lose 3 weeks in a row, but it's not a team that I would feel confident. I think they're by far exceed expectations regardless of what happens the rest of the year. They've won 7 games. They'll probably at least end up winning 9 or 10. But it's going to be one of those, I agree. It's one of those teams that I think just maybe not ready yet. It's 1 year away type of thing.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Kingsbury kind of making the offense kind of like dumbed down just because I'm sure you've heard a lot, but like a lot of people talk about how the college game doesn't get the quarterbacks ready for the pros. And Tom Brady's been like a big advocate about that. He's like, these guys need to come in and sit because it's more intricate and the players are better. But then, with some of these rookie quarterbacks, the ones who kind of start slow, like Bo Nix, now he looks pretty good after, getting the reps, and Drake Mays looked pretty good. I mean, that team's just so bad that there's only so much he can do. But even kind of Caleb Williams shows flashes of doing better. But like with Jaden Daniels, yeah, it does seem like a kind of a dumbed down offense. Their defense isn't that great, and it wasn't great coming into this year. And I mean, they made Cooper Rush look like he should be a starter in the league. So, and then plus like the special team stuff, like that stuff can't happen. I feel like that's a lot of coaching, but I don't want to say that was a surprise, but it kind of, with how bad the Cowboys and how banged up they are,
I would say it was a surprise. I mean, I think with how bad the Cowboys have looked the last few weeks and how injured they were, and they even like sat people, left them at home. Like they didn't even it was kind of surprised at how many inactives they even had. 10.5-point favorites. Like that was, I expected to win that game. Maybe not by 10.5. Like I maybe that at that point, no double digits, but I did expect them to win that game when it was. Yeah, it's a division game, always makes it tough. And when it's 3-0 at halftime or 3-3 or whatever it was at halftime, and then there's 31 points scored in the last 3 minutes of the game, it's just insane. Like I was like, what the hell is going on? It was there's 2 kickoff return for touchdowns by the Cowboys in the last 3 minutes. They had that 87-yard touchdown for Washington. Seibert, right? Is that his name? Yeah, I picked him up in fantasy like in 3 leagues before this week, and
he's what, like number 5 in the.
Yeah, he was like number 4 in fantasy rankings, and he was on the waiver wire. So I was like, oh, perfect. That was a big bye week, so I picked him up in like 3 leagues. Missed 2 extra points, got a field goal blocked. Like just again, the whole kicking conversation that we were having last week, it kind of came into play again this week with some big misses and some crucial moments. But the thing about me for that, like if you're Washington and you scored that touchdown with 21 seconds left, that 87-yard touchdown, in a game you probably should have lost already the way it was going, I don't know why you don't go for 2. Your kickers has had some issues. Like, I would have gone for 2. I don't blame him for going for 1 or for kicking the extra point, but am I wrong in that, or do you disagree?
I don't think you should go for 2, but I mean, you got to make that extra point. That's what I think. But here's why I'm not as surprised. So they lose 3 in a row. They're a Hail Mary away from losing 4 in a row. And they're a injured kicker from losing to the Giants like week 3. So, they already have 2 lucky wins. And then, you play the Bengals, who are probably the best team they've played besides the Eagles, right?
They played the Ravens. They lost the Ravens.
Oh, okay.
They played the Ravens and they played the Cardinals early in the season. They destroyed the Cardinals in the season, but yeah, they beat the Giants twice. They beat the Bengals, the Browns, the Panthers, the Bears, and then they had the Cardinals win in there. But yeah, I mean, this was their stretch. This 3 game, they had the Eagles, the Steelers, the Cowboys.
All I'm saying is they're lucky to be over 500.
Yes, I agree. I mean, even that Hail Mary, if that Hail Mary goes differently, which it does 99.9% of the time, they're 500 team and out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about the Giants field goal kicker too. Like that's the reason why they won that game, is because the Giants couldn't kick a field goal, and we know how that team is. But yeah, are you surprised more of Washington losing or Houston losing to the Titans?
I want to say, ooh, man, it's tough.
I think the spread was the same.
Was it the same? Yeah, it's tough because like in hindsight, I would probably say I'm more surprised. I think I'm more surprised the Commanders lost. I think I
Right.
just because like the Cowboys had so many injuries, they're essentially kind of quitting on the season. They left, like I said, they left people at home, but the Houston loss was bad. Will Levis led team. He had a pick six somewhere in like which was I know Will Levis gets memed. It was the fourth quarter. He gets memed all the time. And I know there's a lot of issues.
You get another one, another meme this week.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Every week it's something different. He's hilarious.
The head down.
Yeah, the head down, running to sprint after the pick six. I think the big issue with Houston is I know that Houston fans have been complaining about Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator. He was, of course, like the genius last year who got them going, and then you have one bad year, fans turn on you. CJ Stroud has looked bad this year. He's missing open receivers. His accuracy isn't there. He ran out of the back of the end zone. Like, he just got a better awareness. He Dan Orlovsky'd that last play of the game. Yeah, he Dan Orlovsky'd it. There wasn't a lot of time left, and there were some untimely penalties on Houston at the end of the game. There was a off at like Nico Collins scored a touchdown. They got called back for some sort of motion with Joe Mixon and Tank Dell or something like that CJ Stroud took ownership of and said he called them both to move in motion when they shouldn't have. But man, he just, and I've seen a lot of this on the timeline, like my X timeline from Texans fans. He did the whole parading around last year, put himself in the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, they asked him, he put himself at 3 and all this stuff. And NFL's hard, man. You got game film on you now. It's a different animal. I still think their team is better this year than it was last year. Like, they made some good moves in the offseason. Obviously, Stephon Diggs being hurt for the year doesn't help, but he should be better in his second year. Their offensive line isn't very good. But man, he is having a rough season this year. He's not playing like a top 10 quarterback. That's for sure. And I think that's the biggest surprise is that he's kind of regressed more so than normal. I'm actually going to pull up his stats right now because I think he's towards the, so he's 14 touchdowns,
9 interceptions.
9 interceptions, 51 QBR. He just hasn't been the quarterback they needed him to be. And I do think the Texans they'll probably win their division still just because there's no competition there. But I expect them to lose in the first round. They're going to end up playing the Ravens or Steelers, most likely, whoever doesn't win the AFC, or Chargers. They're going to play one of those 3 teams in the first round of playoffs. I think those teams might be favorites against the Texans on the road in the playoffs. As crazy as that sounds.
For sure. I mean, again, another team I thought was a fraud just because they just don't look good. And CJ Stroud looks like a shell of himself, and They have had injuries, which hurts, but yeah,
they're one of those teams that we talked like that. I know I definitely talked about early in the season. Like, they were putting out these 1-score games against bad teams, and like typically, like, that's good. You're winning those games like you're supposed to, but it just didn't look right. You know what I mean?
It's different because it's like you have the Chiefs doing that every week, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like they've earned it. They've proven that they're good.
But yeah, you had 29-27 against the Colts, 24-20 against the Jaguars, 19-13 against the Bears, 23-20 against the Colts. They lost to the Jets, lose to the Lions. Obviously lost to the Titans. They did blow out the Cowboys, but again, the Cowboys are terrible. Mistake. But yeah, it's one of those teams that if I was a wild card team, I'd be pumped if that's what my draw was in the first round of the playoffs, if I had to go on the road. I think maybe they'll fix it. People are calling for DeMeco Ryans' job already. Like, that's how quickly they're 7. Yeah, you're 7-5, and it's just that's how quickly these things turn, though. I do think CJ Stroud is taking a little bit of a step back, and a little sophomore slump, and maybe a little bit of humble pie in terms of, hey, this is harder than I remember. Like, I remember it being. He's probably playing a little bit more loose last year. He's tried to be more of a leader this year rather than a rookie, and it's hard. It's a hard adjustment to make. I still think he's got a great future. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think can safely put him outside that top 5 category that a lot of people were lumping him into at the beginning of the year with some of those guys. Yeah, craziness. That game was also nuts. Like, the amount of turnovers and Will Levis got sacked 8 times.
7 in the first half.
7 in the first half, and they still put up whatever it was, 32 points and won the game. Like, that's nuts. That's unbelievable. He's quietly played a lot better the last few weeks too. I think there's a lot of Titan fans who are excited. I don't know if he'll ever be your top 10 quarterback, but I think he's got the talent that if you put some pieces around him, you can win some games with him.
Well, you never know with some of these quarterbacks who have gotten a second chance, and I feel like a lot of teams are going to be hesitant to move on so quickly. I mean, you don't want to do what the Giants did and hold on to your guy for a little too long, but one playoff win will.
Speaking of that, I think we can talk about that a little bit because Daniel Jones is kind of your guy. He's kind of you kind of adopted him this year. I feel like you kind of adopted him this year. I think you even said it a couple times.
There was one episode I said that I don't know if Daniel Jones is that bad. Hey, I'm not saying I sold all my stock, but I it's really not worth much. It's basically just giving it away for free. But there are times I understood why they kind of held on to him. It's because there were times where you're like, he looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean he's athletic.
Let's hold off on him calling him my guy. That's
okay, I'll hold off for now. But I mean, I'm surprised they cut him. I think it's kind of cool that they did cut him because he asked for his release. He obviously wasn't going to play. Obviously, not in the future plans. They're obviously tanking for a quarterback. We'll see what they do with Brian Daboll. But where do you think he goes? Safe. Did they? Everyone's safe? Yeah. And where do you think he goes?
So I was trying to think about I was kind of thinking that the Eagles sign him.
Why?
Good backup.
You got Kenny Pickett, man. You don't trust Kenny Pickett?
I don't trust anyone who wears two gloves.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's crazy.
Well, he did say he wants to go to a contender, which is kind of
He did say Saquon was his favorite teammate.
Yeah, well, they're best friends. They are best friends. Well, I think the Ravens is the one that surprised me. I guess they're one of the leaders that. I get it though, because he's an athletic guy, so he could probably run that style offense a little bit better than anyone else might. I get wanting to go to a winner just to try and build some confidence back up, build some culture back up. But I think we were texting back and forth about where we think some of these guys go. He's one of the perfect examples of probably going to a team that needs a bridge quarterback that needs someone for a year or two. One of these people are going to pick high, maybe a Cleveland or he'll be the Jets. How funny would that be if he went to the Jets? He went back to New York.
To move.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But he'll be maybe even Panthers. I could see him going to some of the Panthers, be there with Bryce Young, compete with him for another year if they don't want to take a quarterback. It is interesting though.
Dolphins.
It is interesting. Dolphins, maybe as a backup for Tua. It's just it is wild. But speaking of Saquon, one thing I think we do need to talk about is your Eagles. I can say your Eagles.
Hold on. They are my Eagles, but I want to continue with the bad teams, and then we'll go to the good.
Okay, that's fine.
49ers. Are they dead?
Yeah, I don't think they're dead yet. I do think that game showed part of the importance of Brock Purdy, though. They had Brandon Allen in there.
Team's hurt too.
Right. There's a lot of injuries. It's one of those. It feels like a cursed year. You have those years sometimes. The Bears went through this 3 or 4 years ago. The one year they didn't make the playoffs and make the NFC Championship game. I believe that's the year they took Bosa. It was probably 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. I think that was the Kyler Murray draft. They had a bunch of injuries, and then it happens, and you're not always going to get the injury luck, and that's why it's so hard to make it back every single year. That's why what the Patriots did is crazy. Honestly, the 49ers have done the last 4 or 5 years is crazy. What the Chiefs have been doing is crazy. It's just so hard to get back there because it's hard to keep all the pieces, and it's hard to not have the injury bug bite you. I don't think they're dead. I still think they can make a playoff run. I was actually looking at it. I think they're last in their division, but that division is so tight that it's kind of hard to see who's going to win that division. But do you think they're better than the Commanders? Do you think they can catch the Commanders and make a playoff run?
I think they're better than the Commanders, but Bills, Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. But just their schedule.
Their schedule's so hard.
And their injuries, and who knows if Bosa's back next week, if Purdy's 100%, Deebo Samuel is a shell of himself. I mean, it's Trent Williams is hurt. It's a whole thing. So, I mean.
Deebo is definitely a shell of himself, man. He looks slow. He looks like he just is not. I think this is probably his last year in San Francisco. I'm sure I don't know what his contract looks like, but I'm sure it's coming.
Them signing Ayuk was
kind of a nail in the coffin. But Bills, Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Lions. Yeah, it's a tough schedule. It looks like they're currently the 11th seed, but there's so many teams like packed in there in that 5-6, 6-5. They're really only like 1.5 games out of the wild card. I don't think they're dead. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs though. Like based on the schedule, it just stinks, man. There's a few of those teams that I think people expected to be really good that just aren't there this year. I think that was their worst loss in Shanahan's tenure, I believe, was to the Packers.
Has to be.
I would think it was their worst loss.
Has to be.
To in his career, which is nuts. At least since he's been with San Fran.
But let's stick with that same game really quick. Packers, they look pretty good.
Yep, that's you're also one of your teams. I think I know you have a couple futures on them out there, but not for good reason. Like, hey, they're 8-3. They're playing great. Jordan Love has been prone to turn the ball over a little bit too much this year, but they're winning games, and that's all that matters. As long as you can hold the turnovers, keep them to a minimum, I think you should be fine. I think the game with the Dolphins this week is actually going to be very, very. I think that's a Thanksgiving.
That turned into a really good one. And
it looked like shit.
Let's talk about the Dolphins.
It looked like shit. I don't think so.
What?
I don't think they have a chance.
Why?
Their schedule. Oh. I think it's just a little too late. Yeah, they have.
They're 5-6. If you think the Bengals are still in it, you have to think they are.
I don't think the Bengals are still in it. The Bengals have to win out. The Bengals are one of those teams. If they win out, they have like a 99% chance to make it. If they lose one game, it's like 7.
Hold on. So they have the Packers next week. That's the hardest game by far. Then they have the Jets, the Texans, the 49ers, the Browns, and the Jets again.
I still think Texans 49ers will be tough. Like, I think they're equal playing fields to the Dolphins. I still think the 49ers are probably better than
I think
the Dolphins.
9-8 gets in it though.
No.
You don't think so?
Broncos are 7-5 and they hold the last seed. Like, I think you need 10 wins. I think 10 minimum. Well, not minimum. I think 10 wins gets you in. I think there might be a tiebreaker at 10 wins.
All right. Well, the Broncos have Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs to finish.
Yeah. They have a tough 3-game stretch. I don't know why I keep leaving the Bengals, and it's a tough stretch. But
I mean, Bengals are a tough out just because they're not winning, But
it will get the AFC wildcard. Yeah, they look like a completely different team with Tua, and we kind of talked about that. They're a completely different team, and that's why they were going to make some moves at the trade deadline, but they decided not to because they're like, hey, we can make a run at this, and they've won 3 in a row. They look exciting again. 3-15, they destroyed the Raiders, and then obviously destroyed the Patriots. Patriots came, they were up, what were they up, 31-0? And then the Patriots scored a couple garbage time TDs just to keep it close.
Yeah, 2-point.
I don't think they're dead. Like, I don't think they're dead. I know I probably made it sound like they were dead, but I think they're going to lose to the Packers, and then they need to win out if they lose to the Packers. It's kind of, and I just don't see them winning out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying they have a chance, and they look good. I mean, they might be like a couple games too late, but I'm not I mean, they made the Patriots look terrible, and we can talk about the Eagles now, but like watching the Rams kind of struggle against the Patriots and listening to the Patriots just get destroyed by the Dolphins, it was kind of like that kind of gave me confidence to send you that bet that I made, just the Eagles covering 3.
Yeah.
The Eagles look so good.
They look so good. They by far one of the two. Like, I think it's them and the Lions fighting out for the top of the NFC. The Vikings are in there. They have similar record, but I don't think they're on the same playing field either. Same with the Packers. Like, I think I would put the Packers in there as well if they get hot. But I just think the Eagles and the Lions are in a different stratosphere right now than the rest of the teams in the NFC. It's what I expect to be the NFC Championship game at this point. Saquon has done so much for that. Like, he is an absolute beast this year. Obviously a lot of stuff flying around when a star player has a great game, and then talking about the Giants and how they made a huge mistake letting him go. Saquon's not doing what he's doing with the Giants. He's on so much of a better team on the Eagles. It's not even funny. He's on pace for 2,000 rushing yards. The Eagles have a great offensive line. They have a good defense. They hit on their draft picks, like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Like, that's what they needed, cornerback help, and they knock both those picks out of the park. That's what good teams do, and good scouting departments. And, I know Howie Roseman gets his flowers all the time, but what he's built there has been, very, just unbelievable. They obviously had that rough patch at the end of last year. I don't really know what that was. People want
Jalen was hurt.
Yeah. Could have been.
He just looks like a completely different player now than what he did. And also, Howie Roseman, I heard this the other day, when they I think they signed Saquon for 3 years for $39 million, which is unbelievable, especially what he's doing
Nothing.
now. And his incentives don't include touchdowns, which is kind of genius because he won't be mad getting to the 1 yard line.
That's true, actually. That's a good incentive to keep out, because if not, he's going to get pissed. Because what they said, Jalen Hurts has 8 1-yard rushing touchdowns this year or something, which is nuts.
That's genius, dude. He just knows, like, hey man, like,
those are going to Jalen.
You run it in from the 20, or Jalen's getting it.
Yeah, and it's just maybe they switch it to yards or something different. I don't know the details of that. But maybe
I don't know the details. I just know there's no touchdown incentive in there.
Yeah, and he's on pace for 2,000 yards, which is crazy. But they hit it, like, they did exactly what they needed to do. They had some issues on defense. They hit the picks that they needed to make out of the park, and that's why they're the team that they are. And then obviously they had a somewhat slow start to the season, but they've absolutely righted the ship, and they look as dominant as anyone in the NFL right now. I'm excited to see what they do the rest of the year. It's going to be fun to watch them in the Lions.
I agree. It's a good feeling to watch. Not trying to rub it in, but it's a good feeling watching a good team and root for a good team and
good
organization,
decently run
and
organization.
not very well run organization, and not afraid to spend any money, and have cool jerseys.
Must be nice. And do you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? The two, like, the Eagles and Bengals were off, like, in the last couple off seasons, oftentimes, like, paired together because they had similar structures. You had a good quarterback who you had to pay a lot of money, 2 good receivers that you had to pay a lot of money, kind of a younger defense that you had to figure out what you wanted to do. Look what the Eagles did. They paid their players. Everyone's happy. They went out and got a stud running back on top of it while taking care of their own players. Look where they're at. And then you got the Bengals, who didn't take care of anyone but Burrow, and culture's gone down the drain.
I still think they should have tried to keep Mixon. Chase Brown is not it, dude.
No, he's very good. I'm not going to get into all the numbers, all the analytical, the numbers that people don't care about. But
he's fine.
Mixon had 12 carries for 22 yards last week
against a good Titans defense.
That's what you would see in Cincinnati a lot. Their Bengals are going to throw the ball. They're not, like, he's not going to get his 30 carries. Like, that's just not the way it works.
Okay. This isn't a Bengals podcast.
No.
Can we talk about Baker Mayfield?
I love Baker, dude.
He's the man, dude.
He cracks me up. The Tommy DeVito
play, the DeVito, the fourth quarter Bucky Irving block to get him 20 more yards when they're already up 30 to whatever.
Yep.
Dude, he's playing so good. I kind of hope they make the playoffs, but again,
it's going to be tough. Yeah, another one of those that injuries bit them, and it's like they're a game or two behind now, and it's just one of those teams that it's like there's so many teams that would be so fun to have in the playoffs just because they have, like, good players and high-scoring games. They have good offenses, but it might just be too little too late. And I think the Bucs might be one of them. Man, dude, how bad do you think the Browns are kicking themselves?
I mean, they should be.
Yeah.
They go from...
Jameis is awesome, too, though. We love Jameis.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on.
Yeah, different in terms of
what
actual...
are we talking about?
Yeah,
in
terms of quarterbacking.
Payroll. Yeah. But listen to this. So the Bucs are a game behind the Falcons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they are 0-2 against the Falcons.
Mm.
Do you know what the point differential is? Are you looking at it?
In those games?
No, between the Falcons and the Bucs.
Like what their total point differentials are on the season? I'm not looking at it. I'm going to say the Buccaneers, because I know they've blown out a few teams. I'm going to say the Buccaneers are plus 56.
Okay. What do you think the Bucs are?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the Falcons are?
Maybe that's too high because they are 5-6. Yeah, I'll just stick with it because you made, based on the way you asked this question, you made it seem like it was a massive difference. So I'm going to go with plus 56, and then the Falcons. What's the Falcons' record? 6-5 or plus 7?
Falcons are minus 30.
Holy shit!
And the Bucs are plus 36. So you're
okay.
Close.
I was kind of close. Yeah,
minus 30.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's insane.
Panthers are minus 146.
Bryce Young has looked good though, man. Like he looked good last week against the Chiefs.
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. That's another one real quick we can kind of touch on. Again, I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that the Chiefs were going to go down and kick a field goal after they tied it up with like a minute 40 left.
It's like minus
But
1,000.
yeah, right. It was going to happen, but the Chiefs again find a way to win a one-score game. I think I saw this stat. If you were to flip, and again, this stupid stat to say, but if you were to flip the Chiefs one-score games this year, they'd be like 2-9 because they've only won more than 2 games by one score, and they've won the rest of them essentially.
That's the worst.
Again, they find ways to win, and so that it is what it is. No one's worried about the Chiefs, but I don't think they look like the best team in the AFC. I don't. I know they lost the Bills last week, but they'll probably find a way. Yeah, I think they'll probably find a way to win it all again.
Who's the second best team?
I mean, Bills first. I would have said the Ravens a few weeks ago, but they had a bad loss to Pittsburgh last week. Pittsburgh had a bad loss to Cleveland. Probably the Chiefs. Second. Yeah, probably Chiefs, and then Ravens and Chargers and Pittsburgh fighting out for 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think I'm trying to think where you put the Texans, probably like 6?
I put the Texans at 6 or 7. Like I think if they played in a different division, they would be one of those teams that, I mean, they're around 500 anyway, but if they played in a AFC North or AFC West, they would be below 500.
Do you like the Broncos or Texans rest of the season?
Honestly, right now, probably the Broncos. If I had to pick one right now, I think Bo Nix is playing better than CJ Stroud. I think their defense is definitely better than the Texans. And they're probably coached better with Sean Payton. So I would say Broncos. Man, Bo Nix looks like the rookie of the year, man. He's on fire. He looks fantastic. He's like 30 already.
Who do you think is the front runner for MVP right now?
It's got to be Allen, I would assume. I think Lamar's lost too many games now. Like if he loses, especially if he loses a division, like if they lose tonight against the Chargers, he'll drop even further. You typically, like, it's some crazy stat, like 10 of the last 11 MVPs have been the 1 or 2 seed in their conference. So it's typically what happens. It's the quarterback of one of the top 2 teams.
You think Saquon has a chance?
No, I don't.
Damn.
Do not at all. I do not at all. You know, I did see a crazy stat about Saquon, just real quick, back on Saquon. He's making as much now as Adrian Peterson did in 2012 when Adrian Peterson got his like big contract. And this was like a big contract for running backs that Saquon got. It seems like the market overcorrected itself with it. Like I think this whole running back, and we talked about it earlier this year, this whole running backs shouldn't get paid thing got a little overblown. You can draft them, and a lot of players have good guys they drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, but there's different makers like Saquon, Christian McCaffrey when he's healthy, Derrick Henry, and some of those guys that it's worth paying for because they make your offense so much.
I was listening to something, and they were talking about how all the good running backs are on bad teams, and that's why it kind of seemed like running backs didn't really matter. And then now, people were talking about how the receivers might not get as much money now because people are realizing the value in running backs. So that's why a lot of these receivers are like trying to get these contracts because it might flip and the receivers' money is going to go down a little bit. But now that when Christian McCaffrey went to the 49ers coming from Carolina, like he was almost MVP last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like by far one of the best assets you could have on a team. Now look at Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, what's going on in Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, there's so many examples of having a great running back, and even
Mm-hmm.
Miami. They didn't have Tua for 3 or 4 weeks, so that kind of doesn't really help the argument. But even James Cook in Buffalo. So like all these good teams have good running backs, and they're all at the top, and they might have a few good receivers, maybe 1 or 2, but I feel like it's flipping back because it is important because like if you can't run the ball, then you're just going to play 2 high safeties all game and you won't be able to throw. Mm-hmm. So
yep, you
need to be able to balance out the field. And
yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's starting to even out itself a little bit because even receivers, a lot of them, it's the same thing. The way the college game is changing, there's a lot of good receivers coming out that you can get in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round that are more than capable. So if you have one stud, you don't need to pay a second one. I think there's obviously still your guys at the top of the receiver market, your A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like those guys who are just freaks, and you can't really find them. They're not those guys. It's kind of those
100%.
rare talents. Like you got to make sure you pay those guys. But I agree with you. I think we're going to see a little bit of that kind of back to standard as these defenses keep playing against the pass. You're going to need to run the ball to open things up on the defense. So I'm with you. I'm curious to see what happens over the next few years, but it feels like it's cyclical, and eventually it'll come back around. So
I mean, it's like that with everything. It's like It's like the NBA when they thought you didn't need a center anymore, and now you have Jokic and you have Embiid and you have Giannis and Wemby and all these guys now that are just massive, and you can't just throw like a 6'8" guy out there and try to defend a guy who's 7'1". So it's all come back around. Everything needs to be balanced. I mean, we always try these new things, and there's always going to be innovations in the game depending on the rules and what they'll allow you to do. But I think it's good for football to have running backs be important.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Completely agreed. Speaking of which, the Ravens just took a 23-16 lead.
I just saw that.
Mark Andrews just hit his over catches, which is fantastic for me. Which is, I'll take it. And then Lad's only 2 away from his, and Herbert's 2 rushing yards away. So we're close to hitting all 3 of them. So I'm going to keep an eye on all 3 of them. But speaking of bets, are we ready to get into some bets? Let's talk about this past week.
We had a good week.
We did have a good week. I went 3-0, bringing my record to, what is it now? Hold on, let me pull it up. My record is now 27-9 on the year. Which, again, I will take. And then Mike, 2-1, another good week for Mike after. Would you go 3-0 last week, or did you go 2-1 last week?
3-0
last week. 3-0 last week. Bringing your record to 18, 15-1, so 5-1 for you the last 2 weeks, which is awesome. And then we hit our 3-leg player parlay for the pod last week, which is awesome. It's good to get that in week 2. Only second week we've done it, so it's good to get that in week 2. And then if you follow along on X, we placed a bunch of bets. I think we did 7 player props, hit 5 of the 7, and then or 6, maybe it was 6, and got hit 4 to 6. So definitely over 500 there, and then hit a plus $1,800 same game parlay in the Bears game with some anytime touchdowns. So it was a good week. It was definitely a good week overall. And then we got some bets out there for today's game as well. So this week's Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Gotta love a little football on Thanksgiving.
I mean, that's what you do. You eat a lot of food and you pass out and you watch.
You sit there and watch football.
Watch football.
So we're gonna do things not super differently this week. We're still gonna pick our 3 games. Are we allowed to take one of the Thanksgiving games for one of our picks this week or no? Okay, so it has to be Sunday.
Sunday, Monday.
Really? You're killing me, man. So many that. Do we even have enough bets to make off of that? Because there's 4 games between Thursday and Friday.
There's over-unders. There's point spreads.
Man. All right, so we're only going to, for our 3-game picks, we're only going to take games for Sunday and Monday. And then, but we're gonna do a couple Thanksgiving parlays that we're going to send out just to make it a little bit more interesting for Thanksgiving.
Yep. All right, what would you have in mind for the parlays?
You want to do our picks first, or you want to do Thanksgiving picks first?
Thanksgiving.
All right, so Thanksgiving picks. So we got Bears, Lions, 10.5 Lions favorites. Yeah. Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys are 4-point favorites. Damn.
Dude, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, Cowboys is 4-point favorites. I mean, all right, should we put that as one of them? I agree with that.
That's one.
I do agree with that. So what we're going to try and do here is we're going to try and pick a different bet from all 3 of the games on Thursday and do a 3-leg parlay out of those. So we're going to go Cowboys -4. And then last game, Dolphins, Packers 3.5. Ooh, Packers 3.5-point favorites. I think I kind of want to move that down to Packers -2.5. You like that?
Why don't we go 4.5 Dallas and 2.5 Packers?
Okay, 4.5 Dallas, 2.5 Packers. So that gets us to. Let me update the Cowboys 4.5.
What if we go?
Man, that Giants Cowboys is just such a shitty game.
I know, so bad. So bad. Do you remember when they try to petition Lions not to be on Thanksgiving anymore?
Yes.
Because they're always so bad.
And now it's the complete opposite?
Now it's like a must watch.
Yes.
What do you think about under 50?
For Bears-Lions?
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me nervous, Bears do have a good defense. The only thing that makes me nervous is that the Lions could literally put up 38 at any point.
They only put up 24 against
That's true.
the Colts.
So you like under 50?
Are we going to add
Let me see.
the Friday game or no?
I mean, we can do that one instead of the Bears lines if you want. Do 2 and 1 for Friday.
I'd rather.
Or we can do 4-leg. Or we can just do 4-leg.
Okay, so do you want to do like 52? And then
let me see what that is. Let me see what the 52 is. All right, we're gonna do under 52.
Or we could go. I mean, the over-under 37.5 is so low for the Dallas.
And see, that was the other one that I really liked. I liked going over 37.5 there, just because 2 bad teams, like we saw it in the Commanders game. Crazy shit can happen.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Do you want to do over there?
Yeah.
We can even parlay both of those together. We can do 4.5 and over 37.5. Okay. Do you not want to touch Bears lines? I wouldn't be opposed to not touching Bears lines.
Can we get it? What would make like Bears -7?
No, I don't like it. I can't do it.
6.5?
I can't do it. I like the under 52. Let me put the under 52.
What about 6.5?
You want to take the Bears -6? You think?
Lions -6.5.
Oh, that'd probably tank the odds though. All right, so that's -210. Under 52 is -179.
Up to you.
I'm gonna go the under 52. Take the better odds.
Okay. All right.
That's plus 777.
Oh my god! All right. So what is it? It's under 52.5.
Just under 52. I just did under 52.
Under 52. Cowboys -4.5. Over 37.5 in that same game.
Yep.
And then Green Bay -2.5. And that's plus 772.
Yep. Or should we do Packers -3.5 just to be safe?
I thought
let's do -3.5.
Wait.
No, I'm stupid. No, we're gonna do -2.5. Yeah. I'm
just
stupid.
to be safe.
Yeah, I'm stupid.
No, I like
All
that.
Right.
That's good.
You like that?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna play that. Yep. All right. One more for these games.
One more.
TD scores. Let's do one more. Let's do TD score parlay.
Pull it up. What's your first pick?
I mean, I feel like you got to go in the Lions-Bears game. You got to go. God, Gibbs is -230 and David Montgomery's -210. Like that's
Montgomery got hurt last game too, right?
Yeah, he did get hurt last game. Yeah, I kind of want to go Amon-Ra -125. He didn't score last week. He scored almost every game. He didn't score last week. Sam Laporta +170. Also, I don't hate.
Not Laporta. The guy is
DJ
not scored ever.
DeAndre Swift +150. Running back at plus odds. The Lions defense is tough though.
All right, I'll do St. Brown.
You want to do St. Brown? Okay,
Yeah.
Let's do St. Brown. All right, next game.
I have no idea who's going to score for Dallas or the Giants.
I think I'm going to go CD. He hasn't scored in a few weeks. He had 11 catches last week. The Giants defense is not good. I can see him getting hyper targeted, and it's +175. I think CD's a good bet there. He hasn't scored in a few weeks. I think he's due.
Schoonmaker's not a bad one either.
No, he's not bad either.
He's +330.
+330.
He scored last week.
I mean, we can add him. I don't know. I don't think I want to do both.
Dude.
I don't want 2 Cowboys players. I'm going to go CD. I'm going to pick CD. I'm going to take CD. All right. Dolphins, Packers.
Achane? What's he at?
-120.
He had 2
Reed
touchdowns last week.
+125. He did. I don't hate it. I'm surprised Josh Jacobs -1. He had 2 touchdowns too, but I'm surprised they're that different.
I'd go Achane. Yeah, let's go Achane.
Okay. That gives us to +807.
Lock it in.
All right. I like that one.
So read that off.
All right. So we have Amon-Ra, anytime TD, CeeDee Lamb, anytime TD, Devin Achane, anytime TD for. There is a boost to take it to +1200.
I mean, when I get in Ohio, I'm going to take that boost.
Yes, you should. You should definitely take that boost when you get in Ohio.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
All right. I like those.
All right.
See, and it's just something for us to root for on the Thanksgiving Day games. So,
man, those are intricate, and I love the odds. Those are my kind of odds there.
I do. Those are good. It's similar to what the parlay bets that we normally do, so I like those.
Well, the parlay bets are like +400 to +500. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I like that. That's good. Mm-hmm. All right, so there's 2. Hey, if you don't like one of the legs, take one off. You'll still probably get good odds.
Absolutely.
All right, so do you want to get to your picks?
Yep. So I will go first because
You went 3-0.
I went 3-0, so let me go ahead and pull it up. All right, so I think my first one I'm going to take. God, the Chiefs are 13-point favorites again.
No. Desmond Ritter's going to be quarterback. That's why.
I'm going to take.
Bills are 6.5-point favorites.
Yep. The Bengals are 3-point favorites, which is nuts to me.
That is nuts.
Damn, this is tough. I'm going to go Buccaneers -6 against Panthers.
Damn. All right.
Panthers look good last week. I know they look good, but Mike Evans back. Buccaneers need to win out to make the playoffs, so I'm going to take them -6 for -110.
Why? I saw the Eagles on here before the game started, and they were +2.5 against the Ravens.
Let me see. Oh, I don't see them on here either. Let me check FanDuel.
Yeah.
Weird.
They took.
It's because
the game.
It's because the Ravens are playing. Yeah, shit.
They were +2.5. Am I allowed to take it?
Who, the Eagles were +2.5?
Yeah.
Is it in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me check to see if they have the odds up on. They probably won't, but I'm gonna check to see if they have the odds up on FanDuel real quick, just to see.
I mean, if you can get the Eagles plus odds, that's insane.
Yeah, they don't have them on here. All right, so you want Eagles +2.5?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll check after the game too to see what they're at. All right, +2.5, and we'll check the odds. All right. Let's see. Second one. I think I'm going to go. Let me put DraftKings back up. I think I'm going to go. I hate this because I don't want them to win. I'm going to go Broncos -5.5.
Ooh.
Against the Browns.
Browns are hot, man.
They won a Thursday night game in the snow.
Don't let Jameis cook.
Yeah. That's -110. I don't like. God, I don't want them to win. That's what sucks. Is like I don't want them to win, but I like those odds. I think they win by a touchdown.
Is Mac Jones still playing quarterback for the Jaguars?
So they had their bye week this week, and there was a lot of talk of resting him until the bye to get his shoulder right. But I don't know. I can also see them just shutting him down because the season's over. So I think there's a decent chance that Mike Jones plays.
All right, I'm gonna go Houston -5 against the Jags after calling them frauds all episode.
Houston -5 against the Jags. All right. And what is that? That's -110. Houston -5. This last one, I kind of don't want to do again. There's two that I like. There's actually two. If I could redo this, I would take one of them. I would take the Broncos one away, but I already said it. Give me the Seahawks -2 against the Jets, and that is -1.
I was looking at that one. Oh, fuck, man. That was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. All right. Vikings -3.5 against the Cardinals.
Oh, I like that one. Cardinals looked like shit last week. I like that one.
Yeah.
Vikings
You just never know.
Yeah, and the Vikings, we didn't talk about that game much, but that was one of the crazy endings last week when they were up 11 with 20 seconds left, gave up a touchdown onside kick. Great play by Caleb Williams, who has looked better the last couple weeks. I still don't think he's, I think there's a lot of issues with Chicago. I don't think it's all on him, but they made the field goal, and then again, it's one of those things. It's like a Chiefs game. Like, you knew the Bears were going to lose it overtime. There's no doubt about it. That's just not a game that they're going to win.
It's just Bears doing Bears things,
Yeah. So Vikings -3.5, and I have it for -112 against the Cardinals. The other one that I really liked that I'll probably place. I know we didn't do it for this. I don't mind. I like the Rams -3 against the Saints. I think that's a good one, and I like the Colts -3 against the Patriots.
I was thinking about doing the Colts, but
Anthony Richards is kind of a wild card. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, and the Rams kind of scare me. Like, the Saints are they going to be the good Saints, or are they going to be the worst team in the NFL?
The shitty Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
I like some of the I'd rather bet on some of the Thursday games than.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was wondering if we could include those or not, because I like the ones we took. I think it's good that we didn't because we're putting them in parlays already. But I like Dallas -4. I like the over in that game. I kind of like the Packers -3.5. I actually don't mind the over in that game either of 47.
Do you want to make a Sunday parlay?
We can if you want.
Let's do it.
All right. You want to do? Should we do the two we just talked about? Colts -3.
No.
What about Rams -2.5?
I like Rams -2.5.
Okay, let's do that.
Can we do Bucks -6.5?
Rams -2.5. Bucks -6.5. Yeah, let's do that. The odds I can't adjust the odds yet. It's too early in the week, but I will adjust. I'll tweet out the odds. So we're going to do Bucks -6.5. We're gonna do Rams minus 2.5, and then what's the last one? Honestly, I don't mind the Bills. I don't know if Brock Purdy will be back. If Brock Purdy doesn't play, I love the Bills minus 6.5.
Yeah, but
not touching Steelers Bengals. That one's weird.
Yeah, it is a weird one.
Vikings 2.5. Vikings minus 2.5.
I'm down.
Vikings minus 2.5. Okay. I know you're running with the Vikings in yours, but I'm running with the Bucks in mine. So
the 3.5 is what scares me.
Yeah, the 2.5 makes it a lot more.
Yeah, palatable.
Reasonable. Yeah, reasonable. Okay, I like those. And so it's hard because there's only so many games to choose from on Sunday. There's only like 5 games.
Yeah, it's like a big.
It's like
week.
6 games. Yeah, it's like 6 games.
Well, the next week there's like six teams on bye again.
Yeah, that was like this week. There was like 6 teams on bye this week, and it was for fantasy. It sucked. Some of the bigger names were benched, which kind of stunk. But all right, I like those. We got a lot of bets this week. I love it.
Yeah,
and I'll still be placing my normals.
So follow us at Athlete Pod to follow more of those, and I'll be throwing them in myself because I'll be in a legal state, and yeah. At Athlete Pod on Twitter /X, at Traveling Athlete Pod on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And we'll be back after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Ryan? Have a good Thanksgiving, man.
Yeah, you too, bro.
Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. See ya.